Hey kids, this is Pulse Vision come to you live from Quattro Cinco Studios in my mom's basement, and today we are reading chapter 1, Rings of Dust, so you guys can just jump on here and see what it sounds like. Let me know if you guys can hear the fan in the studio. It shouldn't be picking it up with the way I have the mic set, but let me know, and we'll jump right into this. In fact, I'm just going to share my screen. Draw myself down here in the corner of the screen for you guys so you can see it better. And in order to come read the book, if you want to read it yourself, you can just go to t.me/anti-gravity saga. And then you can click on the pinned messages. The most recent is the GitHub link right here. So we'll click on that. It'll pop open the public repository of the book. You have source material, TTS ready. That's the best place to read it. Chapter summary is not that interesting. Workflow is not that interesting. So we'll just go to TTS ready. I feel like I can hear the fan in my headphones. So let me just go change that real quick. Okay, here we go. Here I have it pulled up right here. And we read through all of the first spark, part 1, 2, and 3, the last couple ones. And now we're going to start with the Polaris right here. Rings of Dust, Chapter 1, the Polaris. Kolnova checked the seal on his suit, pulled his gloves tight, stepped into the storage bay of the starship Polaris. The bay smelled like ozone and cold metal. The chemical sharpness the Dark X containment left in the recycled air. A taste that sat at the back of the throat, like a coin held under the tongue. The deck plates hummed beneath his boots, a vibration he could feel through the suit's insulation. The ship felt emptied out. 369 crew members confined to their quarters by his order, the call he'd made after a second fight broke out in the mess hall, and Hendricks was found holding a fork over the same plate for 11 minutes. His eyes fixed on nothing. Whatever Dark X was doing to the crew, it was getting worse. The medic had checked Cole's vitals twice before clearing him. A coffee cup sat abandoned on the corridor outside the bay, still warm, left by someone who hadn't come back for it. Under his hastily donned spacesuit, the inner stitching on his jackpot patch rubbed a valley of irritation into his chest. The patch, a gift from his crew, was not Federation issue. Unlike the official patches and ribbons he wore at ceremonies, this was one Cole treasured. The itch of the rough stitch was a thing he normally pressed his thumb against, a habit, reassurance. He pressed it now, and his thumb stayed there longer than it should have. He crept along the rows, verifying each of the 14 harvesters was operational. Luminescent bands traced the contours of each slender monolith, softly pulsing in unison. Green is good. This was the last task of the mission before returning home, obtaining a sample of Dark X. Only Gracie and him on this one. He wouldn't ask anyone else to walk in here. As he moved deeper, The green glow gave way to shadows. The rhythmic hum surrounding him grew fainter. His steps slowed. The air grew colder, and a faint thought of his sister tickled his spine. What on earth, literally, was she doing right now? His pulse brought his attention back to the target, a gentle yet ominous red glow. He could feel it before he reached the harvester. Not heat, not cold. A pressure behind his sternum that had no direction. The air tasted different here. Metallic, faintly sweet, like blood drawn to the surface of the skin. The hum he'd been hearing through the bay floor was gone. In its place, a silence so specific it felt like a sound. The harvesters had dropped into Saturn's rings like crab pots. Gas, dust, ice. Standard procedure. That wasn't standard. What wasn't standard was the 14th unit. Dark-X was not a liquid or a gas, it was more of a plasma. Obsidian, shifting, forming spikes and tendrils, like it had opinions about being observed. The first spark logs had carried the same language. Every crew, different words, same conclusion. It knew they were there. Cole had pushed back when the assignment came through comms. Why do this aboard a crewed vessel? The rapture window doesn't close for another 5 years. There's time to build a proper isolation chamber on one of Alpha's unmanned stations. Time to study this thing without putting 369 people between it and the vacuum. The Federation agreed to send 2 escort ships, the Falcon and the Horus. But Cole knew both of them were headed for the wreck yard on skeleton crews. He agreed when he saw the crew manifests. He'd spent over 15 years with most of them and knew they were damn good Astros. The red harvester intensified its glow as he drew nearer. The substance inside changed shape, tendrils stretching toward the edge of the container, then pulling back, then reaching again. Dark-X did not want to be separated. It did not want to be handled. It had secrets it was unwilling to share. Cole opened the harvesting container, a narrow glass collection tube in hand. He watched the light bend and fracture across the plasma surface. Hey, Gracie, he said, you seeing this? Seeing it, logging it, and quietly losing my mind over it, Gracie said. There is no match of any database I can reach. And Cole, the crew's stress levels are through the roof. Every single deck. Yeah, it's not exactly a spawn here. He brought the tube closer. Let's find out what we're dealing with. Be careful. In its raw state, this stuff is extraordinarily volatile. One wrong nudge, and we're not having this conversation anymore. Cole led the collection tube toward the plasma. The hum of engines, the soft whir of the air system drew silent, as if the ship itself was holding its breath. Something reached through the glass, not physically, through him. Emily, at the kitchen table. His father's hospital corridor. The smell of bourbon on a porch he hadn't left in 3 years. All of it at once, as if it was the substance as if the substance had opened a drawer it had no right to open. His hand shook. He steadied it with the other one and stayed on task. The plasma inspected the inside of the tube, curled against the glass, then recoiled. Cole scraped it in with a rubber-lined lid and felt the euphoric rush break. As though he had offended it by separating it, he stilled the harvester, still throbbing with red light. Cole, come back to the corridor, please. He had never heard her say please. He secured the tube with the hazardous materials compartment on the waist of his suit, tugged it tight, turned for the doors. He walked. The bay felt like it was stalking him. Cole, I'm detecting an intermittent yet increasing energy surge from the harvester you sampled. Shit. Hail the Falcon horse. Alert the crew. More emergency precautions, his voice tightened, and keep trying the hooligans. Gracie's broadcast cut through every speaker on the ship. Attention all crew. Emergency protocols 11, 22, and 33 are now in effect. Please proceed to your designated emergency. The signal cut. Halfway through the word, she was gone. The bay doors blew. A brilliant incandescent light erupted from the sampled harvester, engulfing the bay in a tidal wave of radiance. Time slowed. The shock wave tore through the last remaining atmosphere, hitting Cole's chest like a flat hand, compressing his ribs, driving the air from his lungs before the sound arrived. Cole was flung toward the sealed bay doors. On the Falcon, Ricardo watched the Polaris come apart. The flash whited out the viewport. The Falcon rocked as debris hammered the outer hull, the sound of a building falling on a tin roof. Heavy braced one hand on the near support beam. The other was already reaching for the nav's control console. Pip-Boy's limbs anchored him to the floor. Well, Heavy said over the hammering, that's not on the schedule. Pip-Boy was already at the controls, plotting a course. The Falcon's engines roared as they veered toward the Polaris, dodging debris. Get me close, Heavy said. If Jackpot's alive, he's got about 4 minutes of stupid left in him. The ship's skeleton warped and fractured under the strain. Metal alloys engineered to endure the harshness of space, folded and twisted like paper caught in a gale. Fuel cells ruptured, blooming into fiery orbs that consumed everything in their path. Coal was jettisoned from the ship. The cold came through the suit in stages. The outer shell first, then the insulation, then his skin tightening against it. He could taste copper where he'd bitten the inside of his cheek when the shockwave hit. Space was silent, but his helmet wasn't. His breathing echoed inside it. Each inhale a rasp, each exhale a fog that cleared slower than last. His pulse thumped in his ears, counting something his mind had stopped tracking. The whistle of oxygen escaping through the visor cracks was the metronome underneath it all. His ship, his crew, torn apart and fed to the void. Flames and metal shards turned in silence around him. A lattice of cracks spread across the visor. The whistle climbed a half tone. All crew report, he said into the void. Nothing. Triage team report. The words dissipated into the vacuum. Gracie. Anyone. Silence. He activated the recorder on his left wrist. Mission log. Final entry 2028. This is Captain Cole Nova. He stopped. Started again. The Polaris has sustained. The ship is gone. Explosion in the storage bay. I secured a sample of the anomaly before. It should be on my body. Whoever finds this, it's on my body. A breath. The crew executed emergency protocols. They did everything right. I did. His throat closed. He waited. It appears I'm the only survivor. Silence. The oxygen whistle filled it. Ricardo. The silence wouldn't finish. He tried again. He held us together every time. He was the best of us, and I need someone to know that. Pause. Bitboy, he was unusual. He was the best thing the Federation ever made by accident. If anyone finds him, he likes ethanol and doesn't like being alone. His voice softened, steadied. This part he would hold together for. Emily, guiding light in my life, distance and time mean nothing against the bond we share. Look to the stars. I'll always watch over you. Keep our dreams alive. I love you. He sent the message into the darkness. Against the backdrop of the starship's fractured body, a sliver of movement broke the stillness. One object that defied the slow twisting of the debris. The whistle from Cole's visor was louder now. He could feel the cold advancing through the insulation in layers. A shuttle, its form barely discernible, arching and weaving through the floating carnage. His vision narrowed at the edges, not black, gray, color of oxygen leaving. Inside, Ricardo worked alongside Bitboy, a chimpanzee operating 6 biomechanical limbs. 2 on the flight stick, 2 on the thruster array, 2 braced against the bulkhead for leverage. The shuttle danced through the wreckage. Cole's breathing had gone shallow. Each inhale brought less. The debris thinned. Shuttle grew. Could not tell if he was coming toward him or if he was imagining it. No tether. No rescue. No hope. Cole's oxygen whistled through the cracks in his faceplate. Then the shuttle side hatch swung open. Gloved hands stretched into the emptiness. Contact. A rescuer's glove caught his wrist. The grip slid. Found purchase held. Another hand, larger, certain. They hauled. The threshold crossed in a single pull, and the world changed. Sound returned first. The clatter of boots on a deck plate, a voice yelling something, then heat. Then the weight of a floor beneath him. Then the unbearable sweetness of pressurized air hitting his lungs like a wall. The Falcon's deck was warm under his back, warm the way a floor is warm when you've been dying in a vacuum. And the overhead strips through a flat yellow light that made Ricardo's face swim above him. Bitboy's mechanical limbs clicked against the deck plate as he settled next to Cole's helmet. Behind them, in the cargo compartment, were stacked and strapped down harvesters of different substances bound for Alpha space station. Are any of these filled with Dark X? He demanded. Most of them are top priority on the manifest, Ricardo said. It's not safe. He tried to rip the sample tube from his pocket like a stick of lit dynamite. What are you talking about? The ore and sludge we're packing is still tight, even wearing a seatbelt. Heavy gestured toward the tie-down straps. I took this sample from a harvester right before it destroyed our entire ship. Why the hell would you open a harvester and play with that creepy pudding? Heavy said. I was following orders. Jackpot? I know this isn't the time, but sometimes you gotta play dumb and pretend your radio's broken, Heavy said. Cole did not say anything else for a long time. He stood at the shuttle's viewport, watched the remnants of the Polaris twist and turn amid the cosmic whirl of debris orbiting Saturn. 369 people. The wreckage that used to be their ship was already becoming part of the rings, indistinguishable in a few orbits from everything else that Saturn had ever swallowed. His powder blue eyes stared back at him from the viewport. They were older than they had been this morning. All right, so that is chapter 1. Looks like it's going to be about 19 minutes. If you guys want to hear more about the crypto project that is connected to this story, check out agproject.io right there under my name. And you can check out our Telegram and ask questions in there and add art and music and videos to our art section at t.me/antigravity saga. And I will catch you guys on the next one.